to the biggest story of the hour as well. The Trump administration's chief negotiator, Brendan Lynch, is holding closed-door talks with chief Indian negotiator Rajesh Agarwal today. The broader focus of the trade talks will be centered on new steps required to enhance bilateral trade across the goods and services sector, increasing market access, reducing tariff and non-tariff barriers, and deepening supply chain integration. Government sources say today's talks are expected to create the ground for the 6th round of Indo-US negotiations in the coming weeks. Aditya Rajkol, Senior Executive Editor, NDTV, now joins me live. Aditya, the first tranche from this deal, really, from the talks, first tranche of the deal is expected in a month from now, from what our sources have been telling us. Tell us how significant this breakthrough is, coming at a time when you had the US President Trump come down heavily on India with those tariffs, the significance of it and what we should expect in the coming days.
Meeting, you explained it pretty well, that this comes at a time when, there have been a lot of nasty remarks that came in for India, particularly from Peter Navarro. But then there has been a backchannel that's been underway between New Delhi and Washington, D.C. And now we see a breakthrough. The backchannel seems to have worked. And now Brendan Lynch, the chief negotiator from Washington, D.C., has landed in New Delhi. In fact, right behind me at the Vanijya Bhavan in New Delhi, he's holding a conversation with his Indian counterpart, India's chief negotiator, Rajesh Agarwal. Now, no major significant development is really expected after this meeting, at least not a major announcement. But this meeting is being held to basically put away the differences and to set towards that landmark trade deal between India and US to in fact initiate the 6th round of dialogue. Now this meeting in itself is not the 6th round. You know that 5 rounds have happened already. The 6th round was expected in the last week of August, and that's when the 25% tariffs were slapped against India and then additional penalty of 25% again. India, on its part, would convey to United States that we are very much interested in dialogue, diplomacy, and the trade talks to happen so that we arrive at a conclusive, step-by-step bilateral trade agreement by October or November this month. And thereafter, India would also tell the United States that we need to protect the interest of our farmers, the agriculture sector and the dairy sector. The top priority for India would be to remove the 50% tariff, and that is what New Delhi would be convincing Trump's chief negotiator in this particular meeting. It's a day-long meeting that could be ending between 4 and 5 p.m. today. We could expect some kind of a agreement on holding the 6th round of talks, perhaps a statement from the Commerce Ministry here saying that the dialogue happened positively, and in backdrop of positive statements from Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Of course, on the US part, the US would try to convince India on larger market access and also to reduce the tariffs on the outbound exports from India to the United States. To which level the agreement will happen, we'll have to wait and watch. But certainly, perhaps there could be a conclusion on a date for the 6th round of talks. That's what we are hearing from the Commerce Ministry here.
You know, Aditya, the Commerce Minister, while speaking to NDTV at the summit last week, also mentioned that these talks are going to be successful. And of course, we've seen the breakthrough with these talks happening today. But there's still mixed messaging coming out of the White House. You still have Team Trump, Navarro making these remarks, controversial, of course, all of them. And then also, the high-handedness of it all, saying that India is coming to the table. This too, just on a day when you have representatives from both sides talking. How do you view this?
Well, Peter Navarro is known as the Trump's attack dog in chief, and that's his job, really. He's catering to the internal domestic sentiments in the United States that wants to see a stronger Trump coming in hard to other countries. And on the other hand, Marco Rubio has been making positive statements. The Secretary of State clearly saying that India is the top relationship for the United States. And then Trump saying that Modi is a friend and there's nothing to worry about. So there's this hot and cold approach from Washington, D.C. in the last few weeks after days of attack on New Delhi. But India hasn't lost its patience. India has kept its cool, and India has believed in diplomacy and dialogue from the very beginning. The SCO summit huddle between Putin, Xi Jinping and Modi also was taken strong note of by the United States, and we are seeing regular statements coming in from Trump and Peter Navarro in that particular direction. But what we expect today from the meeting is largely a positive sentiment on the trade talks, a finalization of date for the 6th round of talks really to happen, and thereafter progress towards a finalization of agreement by November. The first trends really happening in November. Is that what we are hearing right now? But it's a very, very critical meeting happening at a time when Trump gave a positive statement on Modi, and then Modi reciprocated. We also saw Marco Rubio, as I suggested earlier, and then Jaishankar saying that India values the bilateral global agreement between the two countries, and the dialogue and diplomacy should really continue. So in that backdrop, I think there is a reset in the talks, in the entire relationship when it comes to trade. And we could hear some positive sentiments coming in by the end of this meeting today.
All right, and let's listen into that controversial remark made by Navarro on a day when India and the US are talking trade.
Yeah. India's coming to the table. Modi, I don't even know.
Are they the worst? You call them the Maharaja of tariffs?
The Maharaja of tariffs. But, Joe, the Modi, Prime Minister Modi sent out a very conciliatory, nice, constructive tweet, whatever they do in India. And President Trump responded to that. We'll see that. This is how this works. But as a practical matter, we know that on the trade side, they have the highest tariffs of any major country. They have very high non-tariff barriers. We had to deal with that like we're dealing with every other country that does that.